Hello everyone, I'm Colin Canet. Today I got all sorts of tips and tricks to talk about, but before I do that, I want to invite you, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do that. So let's get started with these tips and tricks. A few days ago, I was sharpening some plane blades, and even though I use water on my paper, I also use a magnet, and that's what that is. It's just an earth magnet but with a handle on it, so it's easier to get off. And when you move that around and around like that, what it does is it draws those iron filings, and it even draws them out of the water, so that helps to keep your paper, or if you're using a stone, it does the same thing. It helps to keep it clear, and you can tell that because when you take the magnet off and pull that up, you can actually see, and even just that little bit, you can already see iron filings coming up in there. So there's a little tip for next time you're sharpening to help get the iron filings off of your paper. A couple of days ago, a neighbor dropped by to see if I could drill a couple of holes in what was a garden handle, and he asked if I could do it on my drill press for him. Let's go to the drill press and let me show you what I made for him. So what he had was a garden rake, not unlike this piece of dowel, and I always have next to my drill press this little V block, and it's specifically for putting round stock in, and then you can, if you can center it, you can drill it. But look, here's the other thing that I showed him. Here's how simple it is to do, and you don't need a drill press to do it. You can do it with your hand drill, and all I did was take what was basically a 2x4, and I took it over to my table saw, and I set my angle at 45 degrees. I ran through one side, then I turned it around and ran it through again, and I ended up with a V like that. But then when I straightened the saw back out, I turned it over like that and ran it off and cut it off, and I ended up with a piece of a block with a V in it, just like that. And then all you have to do is measure this to where the drill holes need to go, and you do that from the inside so you get them absolutely perfectly centered. And now when you take that, you can do it on a drill press, of course, but you can also do it with your hand drill. Now you can put that on, and when you drill straight down through, and you don't have enough room here, but I'm not going to go all the way through. But look at now, you can put, to secure that, you can now put like a nail or something in that, and it doesn't matter, it's moving around anywhere, but it's always going to be centered. So now I can drill another hole, and again, it doesn't matter, I can drill it from here or here. It's going to be the correct distance, and it's going to be straight into the dowel because that's where I drilled the hole. So just a quick little way of drilling holes into round stock, and especially with the gardening season coming up, some of you may need to do something like that. Before I forget, and so some of you with sharp eyes will have already figured this out, I have a new light for my drill press, because this is the dark area of my workshop. And you know what, when I'm drilling, sometimes there's some specific precision holes that I need to get, and you really need more light to be able to see that. And even with video lights, it's still too dark in here. But look at the extra light you can get with this thing. It's just amazing. I just love this little light. And look at it, it's magnetic, and the cord, it's not a really big heavy cord on this one. It's a pretty light cord, and it's got a good strong magnet. So I can take this and move it over to my bandsaw, for example, and just attach it to the steel side, and it's all ready to go. I love this little light. And there is one thing that I didn't think about when I ordered this up, and I'll mention it to you now. These things are only $20. I couldn't believe it. But I didn't order enough of them. I should have ordered more, because when my wife saw this, she decided she needed at least one for her sewing machine. And I've decided now that I'm going to get another one, because I need one dedicated to my bandsaw rather than trying to move them around, because when I'm doing work here and back and forth to the bandsaw, I don't want to have to be taking the light back and forth with me. So this is a great little light, and you know what, I'll put a link in the description box, and of course there'll be one in the article as well. But wow, what a great little light for attaching to your equipment whenever you've got some work to do. And while I'm still on the topic of lamps, I got to show you this one as well. I ordered 2 different lamps when I got these, and this one is specifically for the workbench. The other one that I just showed you is for, I ordered that for my drill press to give me more light there. And this one has a magnetic base, and you can see it's one of those with the switch on, so you can switch that magnet on and off. But they also include a big plate of steel with this, with a couple of holes drilled in it, and when you put that on there, you can actually lock that, and it locks on there, and it's really locked on there. So if you had a steel base, it'll really lock onto it. And I just took that and put mine on a piece of wood, just a piece of plywood, and you know what? It's big enough, the wood, even with it fully extended like that, it still sits up. This is a really nice light because it's tall, so that if I'm doing things up high, it reaches up high, and I can move it around. But you know what? I can even take it and clamp it to something. If I can move it over to somewhere, I can move it anywhere on my bench and clamp it down. And I know some of you are saying, Colin, you should put some anti-skid material on it because then it would be really secure. I even did that. So wherever I put it, it's not going to move around on me. I can lock it down. I can clamp it. And you know the other thing that I really liked about this thing, it's got a really long cord. You know, you can always buy, there's always a cheaper something or other somewhere else, but they don't always give you the details. And a lot of things, they make things cheaper by cutting the cords, making the cords really short. This thing's got, you know, I don't know, 8 or 10 foot cord on it. So even though it's 4 feet from my bench, I can still take it and move it all over my workbench, so that when I'm doing some sharpening or when I'm working on my vise, it doesn't matter. I can move this thing all around. It's a really handy little light. But look at the other things that I discovered I can do with this. Now, I don't need a light over at my router table all that often, but when I do, it's nice to be able to bring something over, because when I'm setting up finger joint bits, stuff that's really precision, you need to get in there and make sure you've got a nice fine adjustment, and this is a great way of being able to see your measurements more accurately. And how many times when you go to set your jointer knives have you wished that you had some nice light that you could actually see what you're doing? This is a perfect light for that. It's got the magnetic base. You just switch it on, and now you can see exactly what you're doing. Well, I don't call these hack videos for nothing. So now I'm going to show you how you can use this lamp as a stop for your table saw. And here's how it works. Basically, let's pick an arbitrary number. Let's just say 5 inches. So what you do is you move your tables, or the base for your lamp, your magnetic lamp, over at 5 inches. Run your table saw fence up to that, and all that is for measurement, because now you can move it back out of the way, and with the little switch, you lock it to the tabletop. Now I can move that away, and now I can use that as a stop to start running wood. But look, it gets even better, because you can get any scrap piece of wood that you've got, take that, cut an angle on it, and fit your mag switches to it. That can even touch the blade. It's not going to hurt anything touching the blade there. You lock that down, and now you've got a stop where you can run multiple pieces of wood through at whatever length you want. They're not going to get caught in the blade. They're not going to flip back at you. They're just going to carry on through that chute area right there. A great way of making multiple pieces using the lamp base. Well, that concludes my video for today, and I covered off lots of different things, but go and check out the link for this little light, $20 light. I think you'll be as impressed with it as I am. I'm Colin Canet for WoodWorkWeb. Thanks for watching.